The following was originally published in 2018, and while I stand by the critiques of The Last Jedi I make, I deeply regret any direct personal attacks I make against Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, or any other employee of Lucasfilm. Those comments were made in anger and frustration, and I will do a separate video about that after this series.
Last time on the Anti-Trekker, we got to Canto Bight. So as they enter the casino, we see some shots that look like they're taken right out of The Fifth Element or something. This of rich people at a casino. And Finn immediately thinks that this is like the coolest thing he has ever seen, while Rose is utterly disgusted by everything she sees. And of course, for reasons, Rose is correct. And this little guy mistakes BB-8 for a slot machine, I guess. Why? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a cute little gag, I guess, but are you telling me that none of these people have ever seen an astromech droid before when there's droids all over the place, even in this room? The Force. So Rose and Finn belly up to the bar. They figure they can't find the guy, their master code breaker they're looking for, when all of a sudden the whole place starts shaking like there's an earthquake or an attack or something. But no. It's a horse race.
Are those what I think they were?
Okay, can we talk for just a moment about the design of Canto Bight? I'm not talking about just the aesthetics as far as from a filmmaking perspective. Yes, some people have made fun of it as looking a lot like The Fifth Element. I even took that cheap shot a minute ago. But overall, I'm okay with the aesthetics. If you're trying to make some space casino, it looks fine. However, I'm talking about from a practical in-universe perspective. Are you actually trying to tell me that they made a luxury resort, a place where only the wealthiest of the wealthy could go, and the construction and design is so shoddy as to every time the horses in the track that is built into the resort run around the track, it shakes the foundations of the building to the point where drinks are spilling and people are tripping over themselves? I mean, really? Let me ask you this. If you were invited to go to a wonderful luxury resort, but this resort happened to have a horse racing track on it, and every time the horses race, which of course would probably be at least like, at the very least, once every, we'll say, half hour or so, your drinks are going to spill, you're going to probably trip over yourselves, your luggage may fall down, everything's going to... What? No. This makes no sense whatsoever.
Look, this whole place is beautiful. I mean, come on. Why'd you hate it so much?
Look closer.
Now, can we talk for just a minute here? And I apologize for going off on some of you guys because I love you guys dearly, but I got a lot of flack in my last video about Rose's comment about hearing about Canto Bight in a story and how, wow, how is she supposed to find her way around just by hearing about a story? This confirms what I'm talking about here.
My sister and I grew up in a poor mining system. The First Order stripped our ore to finance their military, then shelled us to test their weapons.
Because if she, number one, grew up on a poor mining colony, she did not grow up on Canto Bight, despite the fact that several of you messaged me telling me that, no, Rose was just hiding the fact that she grew up there. No, that is not the case.
What are those things?
Fathiers. I've never seen a real one.
And right here, she tells Finn that she has never seen one of these space horses before. She'd heard about them, but she'd never actually seen one. So if she grew up here, you'd think she probably would, like if she was one of the slave children, which is what some people implied.
They took everything we had.
Then the slave children were taking care of the horses, and she probably would have seen the horses. No. So, no, there's no reason that Rose should be able to know so much about this place and have all this righteous indignation about it when she had never been to anything like this before. And yeah, it makes no sense whatsoever. Not only that, not only does she amazingly know all this stuff, but then when Finn is talking about how cool it is, she's like,
look closer.
And he takes that quite literally and looks through some binoculars, and of course we see the abuse taking place, that the horses are really being abused, and there's slave kids, and it's so horrible. How did she know that? I mean, really, how did she know exactly what was going on? It's not like she knew a general idea. It's not like she heard, oh, I heard that there's some abuses going on. No, she knew exactly where to look, apparently. So that's a little more than just hearing a story. I know. The Force. But here's the thing. With all of that, Rose specifically said, okay, she and her sister grew up on a poor mining colony, that the First Order abused them, that the First Order would do all this horrible stuff and then shelled them to test their weapons and stuff. Wait a freaking minute. How long has the First Order been around? Are you trying to tell me that Rose, I don't know how old Rose is here, but let's say, well, let's take a look. How old is the actress that played Rose? We'll just use that as a baseline. So Kelly Marie Tran, the actress that plays Rose Tico, is 29 years old. So we'll just say, well, the movie was made a couple of years ago. It just took a while for production. So we'll just throw a round number. We'll say Rose is 25. And the slave children are, I don't know, we'll say 10. So that means 15 years ago, the First Order was abusing children all around the galaxy, and the Republic did nothing. The Republic did not care, apparently. And all they would manage to do is build up this resistance of some few hundred people to combat this huge military force that was going to take over the galaxy and building planet-sized weapons. And come on. Am I really supposed to buy into this? The First Order has been around that long. They've been abusing people in the local systems that long, and the Republic, led by people like Leia, did nothing about it. And this is before Luke went into exile. So Luke was just sitting on his behind and moping or whatever. Well, that I could probably believe the way Luke's portrayed in this. But seriously, the First Order's been around for at least, a decade and a half, and nobody has even thought to do anything about it. And of course...
And who do you think these people are? There's only one business in the galaxy that'll get you this rich.
War.
Selling weapons to the First Order.
She implies that, well, these are all the people that made the money off the First Order, and therefore they are evil. And look, I'm sure, and I know the movie, of course, paints her out to be right, but being realistic about it, not all rich people are evil. And this is not even a political thing. It's just a fact, okay? There are good and bad people at every level of the economic spectrum. And so to suggest that every rich person made all their money because of the First Order, well, what about the rich people in the Republic? Did they not? What? This is just... So let's talk for just a moment about the economics of the Star Wars universe. According to Rose, the only way you can become super wealthy is to sell weapons to the First Order. Now, of course, in a clever move of subversion later, we find out that they're selling weapons to, well, they were selling weapons to the Resistance as well. But I know that a lot of people are going to have a tough time with this. But there are other ways to get rich besides the manufacture and sale of weapons. And if you look at some of the richest people on the planet, you know, yes, companies that manufacture weapons do make a lot of money, but the wealthiest people on the planet are not all weapons dealers. And there's a reason for that. War is not a sustainable, perpetual source of revenue. It's good for businesses that manufacture weapons when there's war going on, but war is not a constant. Even in the Star Wars universe, there's apparently at least a 20, 30-year gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, so they weren't all at war at that time. Now, apparently the First Order was building up and getting ready for war and abusing children all over the galaxy, but they weren't actively at war. And where did the First Order get all their money to pay these people so they could get rich? Because they had to have the money to pay the money for these people to get filthy rich in order for them to enjoy their child abuse horse races in space. This is some of the most illogical thinking, and this is, I don't understand what Rian Johnson, what's going through his head here. And I can't really get into it much more than that in a non-political review of this, but it boggles the mind to think that they genuinely believe that this is passable for some kind of economic system. I mean, think about it. In the prequels, there were lots and lots and lots of wealthy people, and there was no war. So how did those people become wealthy? Alderaan from the original Star Wars. Leia was from a wealthy family, and that planet had 0 weapons, at least according to Leia. So yeah, the Force? That doesn't even make sense. Subversion, I guess. But there is no satisfactory explanation for this. So, of course, BB-8 comes rolling in and full of coins now because of the drunk, rich, warmongering aliens to let them know that he's found the code breaker. I'm sure that's going to be really exciting. So Finn, Rose, and BB-8 go rushing back into the casino so that they could find the code breaker. Okay, so we've been building up to this moment for a little while now, and the whole point of Finn and Rose going to Canto Bight was to find this mysterious code breaker because he is the only person other than Maz Kanata that could possibly hack the codes of Snoke's starship. So we've been building and building to this. It's finally going to pay off. We're finally going to get something, and...
Yep, those are the shuttle parkers.
All right, you two are under arrest for parking violation 27B, stroke 6.
What was that?
Not now, lovey. On the road.
They get arrested, dragged off, and will never see the code breaker again.
You will press the like button. You will subscribe and press the notifications icon. You will go to patreon.com/Michael J. Crawford and support his channel. You will tell your friends to watch the Anti-Tracker again and again and again.